Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your work. Appreciate you being here. This is such a important subject and something I'm passionate about. I think all of us are, but a privilege to join with our ranking member of the subcommittee, Dan Lipinski, is co-chair of our STEM caucus here in Congress, and just continuing to be talking about it. It really is something that brings us together. There's way too many things that divide us up here, but this is one of those things that absolutely brings us together of what can we do to prepare the next generation, our best and brightest, to go into STEM fields, realizing that so much of our nation is dependent on the next explorers and discoverers and researchers who are going to have incredible breakthroughs. Just had the privilege a couple of weeks ago to have a graduation of something that we started called our STEM Scholars in the 14th Congressional District. It was 19 high schoolers, 10 young women, 9 young men, where it was a year-long program. I met with them once a month, and we would go to different places around the district that I represent, 7 counties just west of Chicago, north of Chicago, learning about ways for them to apply STEM education in the workforce. So we went to Fermilab, a national lab in my district. We went to Kane Tubular, which does tube bending for exhaust systems on rocket engines. That's in St. Charles, Illinois. We went to Flavors of North America, FONA, which does chemistry of taste and smell in our foods, many, many other things, Digital Design Manufacturing Institute, downtown Chicago. Phenomenal. I mean, it was great. I learned a lot. I think the high schoolers learned a lot. But we'd spend maybe an hour and a half learning about how they could apply this, and then we'd spend maybe an hour for me to hear from them of what has worked in their lives, what sparked that interest, what sparked that passion, and how can we take that and share it with others. The other thing we saw every place we went is the need for computer programming, that this is, that the jobs are there. Dr. Marshall, who was here a little bit earlier, talked about that, you know, that I hear it so often of how we need more programmers, and it's almost like this guaranteed career path if someone is willing to dedicate themselves to doing that. I want to just get your thoughts. What I was hearing from some of my STEM scholars and others is that they've had to kind of go outside of school to find opportunities for programming. Many of them are part of robotics teams, which I think are phenomenal. Some great programming opportunities that are part of that. Others have done some other coding, and so grateful for that. But I guess my first question I'll address to Mr. Yongpradit, and I do appreciate code.org. I've gone through that the last few years with different high schools and young middle schools and grade schools, and had my own kids with me as we were doing that, and just a really good program that I appreciate. I just wanted to see, you know, as a parent, I've got my wife and I have 4 kids. My youngest, my 13-year-old, I think really wants to go into programming or some other science field. What would you recommend that I could be doing to be helping our school do more, but also looking for more opportunities as a parent to open up opportunities for my own children or other students as well?
First off, I want to thank you for participating in the Hour of Code so many times. That really helps the cause at the local level in Illinois as well as the national level to see members of Congress participate in that event. One thing I wanted to note about Illinois, Mr. Lipinski, Mr. Hultgren, there actually is an Illinois State Task Force for Computer Science. They just submitted their recommendations about a week ago, so you might want to take a look at that. In terms of increasing opportunities, you know, the Hour of Code actually has a section called Beyond an Hour of Code. And so there are all these online, self-paced experiences that kids can do on their own and teachers can pick up and bring into the classroom. And these are things that don't require a whole new course. The science teacher, the math teacher can just take a little break from the standard curriculum and introduce some computer science. So that's one way of doing it and making them aware of it. And then obviously there are a lot of after-school activities as well, like those robotics clubs, First Robotics, and things like that. So these are ways to get kids engaged when they don't have something in school. But again, I always repeat, the most important lever is getting a teacher in the school to offer that course.
Yeah. Just a few seconds left, but Dr. Alivisatos, if I could address this to you. According to your testimony, 100 out of 1,576 schools, or about 6%, produce over half the number of graduate students in the U.S. with bachelor's degrees in computer science. Why is this, and what would it take to increase the number of graduates from more schools?
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, look, this is an enormous challenge right now because most schools just don't have the faculty to do it, and of course, you're competing with this enormous demand in the workforce
Right.
for people with those skills. Instead of teaching, they can be in the workforce and be better compensated. So and that's a huge part of it. You know, I think that what makes it more attractive for people is when the job itself also has components to it that are outside of, just the strict classroom. And I think that that's the case for the people that you want to be teaching these classes at the level where they're going to be producing undergraduate degrees. They have to be engaged themselves also in thinking about new ideas and attacking problems that society really cares about. That motivates people. Many people will, in fact, be in careers that don't compensate them quite as well if they have the opportunity to do something they find greatly meaningful themselves. And so I think trying to approach how we can offer the opportunity to people who teach in those organizations, that opportunity to be thinking about cybersecurity research or things of those kinds, that gets them motivated and they'll stay.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. Again, could go on for a long time. This is so important. Would love to hear a little bit more coding boot camps. We're hearing about some of these things that have been happening that I think have been pretty powerful, and even trying to find ways to bring that to younger kids to go beyond, I think could be amazing. Also, we've seen some incubators start up in some of our universities where it's that practical applied and great relationships being built while they're still in school. But my time is long past expired. I apologize. I yield back.
Oh, no, thank you.